Sometimes, what seems ordinary can hide some extraordinary surprises. Tucked away in jars, desk drawers, and old wallets across the country are coins that aren't just change, they're serious treasures waiting to be uncovered. Today, we're focusing on two particular U.S. state quarters that have kept collectors buzzing for nearly 2 decades, the Oregon and Minnesota quarters. These aren't just nostalgic souvenirs from the early 2000s, under the right circumstances, they could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Knowing exactly what to look for could turn an overlooked quarter in your pocket into a true prize for your collection, or even a windfall. Let's kick things off with the 2005 Oregon State Quarter, which stands as one of the most eye-catching designs in the entire 50-state quarters program. It was released as the 33rd entry in the series, part of a massive nationwide effort that saw each state celebrated through unique imagery on a coin's reverse side. For Oregon, the United States Mint chose Crater Lake National Park, a breathtaking volcanic basin filled with crystal-clear blue water, with the famous Wizard Island rising dramatically from its center. Sculptor-engraver Donna Weaver managed to capture the almost mystical beauty of the landscape with impressive detail, serene waters, dense forested cliffs, and that iconic island all framed inside the tiny canvas of a quarter. But behind that peaceful design lies a secret world of rare errors and varieties that have turned some examples of the Oregon quarter into highly coveted collector's items. Most notable among these is the so-called extra tree error. This isn't just a quirky nickname, it's a major die variety that happened during production. At some point, a damaged or worn-out die introduced an odd raised image on the coin's reverse, right near the established tree line. To the trained eye, it appears as if there's a ghost-like extra tree or branch springing up alongside the real scenery. It's subtle but absolutely distinct once you know how to spot it. Finding an extra tree Oregon quarter isn't as simple as flipping a coin and hoping for the best. You really have to study the design carefully, preferably under a magnifying glass or at least strong directional lighting. The extra tree tends to look a little fuzzier or less detailed than the intended parts of the scene, almost like a shadow. It's that slight imperfection, that hint of something out of place, that makes all the difference. And because it's not blindingly obvious, many examples were spent, saved, and stashed away without anyone realizing what they truly had. As for what these treasures are worth, even circulated examples of the extra tree error can command impressive sums, typically ranging from $50 to over $200 depending on overall condition and how prominent the error appears. Step up to uncirculated, mint state examples, and you're talking about a whole different ballgame. Certified mint state 65 or higher coins can easily sell for $400 to $600, and in some particularly strong markets, prices have pushed even beyond that range. The record for a top condition extra tree Oregon quarter touched nearly $600 at a major auction, cementing its place as one of the most desirable modern era coins. But the extra tree isn't the only story the Oregon quarter has to tell. Several other die break errors, collectors call them cuds, have been documented. These occur when a portion of the die actually breaks off during the minting process, leaving a raised blob or lump on the surface of the coin. Cuds vary in size and location, but every one of them adds uniqueness and value to the piece. Smaller cuds might add $30 to $80 of value, while larger, more dramatic examples can push well over $100, especially if they don't disrupt the main design too much and remain visually appealing. Condition plays a crucial role here, maybe more so with these quarters than with many other coins. Even the right error won't bring top dollar if the coin is badly worn, heavily scratched, or discolored. Collectors and grading services focus sharply on things like luster, the sharpness of the design details, and whether the coin has full, undamaged rims. Mint state coins, starting at MS-60 and ranging up to the coveted MS-70, are where the big money lies. An MS-65 Oregon extra tree quarter can double or triple the value of a circulated example, just based on condition alone. It's also worth pointing out that while circulated examples certainly have value, the presence of bag marks, edge nicks, and overall wear can significantly cut into the final price. That's why when you're checking old collections, rolls, or even your change, you want to handle promising finds with extra care, no rubbing, no cleaning, just soft handling and proper storage until a professional can take a closer look. A fun twist in the Oregon quarter story is how many people missed the boat entirely. Back in the early 2000s, everyone seemed to think any state quarter was going to be a future fortune. People were hoarding standard coins and bank rolls, putting away hundreds of face-value quarters, thinking they would appreciate wildly over time. The truth? Most state quarters didn't move much at all in value, except for rare errors like the extra tree. It wasn't about mass hoarding, it was about spotting those rare mistakes that slipped through the cracks. Of course, any valuable collectible attracts counterfeits, and the Oregon quarter is no exception. Some enterprising folks have tried to fake the extra tree error by scratching or manipulating the coin's surface. These fakes almost always fall short under scrutiny. The altered areas usually look different under magnification, lacking the smoothness and flow that real die errors show. Still, it's a reminder, if you think you found a valuable Oregon quarter, getting it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX is the safest way to protect your find. The Oregon State Quarter captures everything that makes coin collecting so thrilling: the history, the art, the hidden potential. It shows how a tiny variation, invisible to most people, can turn a common item into a real piece of American treasure. Whether you're digging through old rolls, inspecting your pocket change, or revisiting a coin collection from years past, taking a second look at these quarters could make all the difference. And who knows? That ordinary-looking coin sitting in your desk drawer might just be hiding a little extra magic, and a lot of extra value. Now, let's turn to another incredible story hidden in plain sight: the 2005 Minnesota State Quarter. If the Oregon Quarter was a hidden gem, the Minnesota Quarter is a full-on treasure hunt, because this one is famous for one of the wildest varieties of mint errors ever caught in the State Quarter series. The Minnesota Quarter was the 32nd release in the program, just before Oregon, and it features a beautiful depiction of the land of 10,000 lakes. The design showcases a peaceful lake scene, complete with a fisherman in a small boat, soaring conifers along the shoreline, and a graceful outline of the state itself hovering proudly above it all. It's a simple, balanced design that really captures Minnesota's reputation for outdoor beauty and rugged serenity. But for collectors, it's not the fisherman or the water or even the state outline that gets hearts racing. It's the trees. Or, more accurately, the extra trees. In an absolutely fascinating minting mistake, some Minnesota quarters feature what's known as a double die error, and not just once, but in multiple different forms. In fact, over 60 different varieties of double dies have been documented for the Minnesota quarter, a staggering number that makes it both one of the most complicated and one of the most exciting state quarters to collect. At the heart of this error are the evergreens along the lakeshore. Normally, they stand tall and neat. But in certain error coins, you'll see an odd, shadowy extra tree or cluster of trees where there shouldn't be any, often to the right of the main tree line, near the shoreline. Some are bold and obvious, standing tall almost like ghostly sentinels. Others are subtle, just barely visible under the right light. And depending on which variety you have, the value can range from a few dollars to several hundred or even more. The most prized varieties are those with strong, clearly defined extra trees, often called major extra tree varieties by collectors. In these coins, the additional tree stands out almost as strongly as the original design itself, making them easy to spot even without magnification. Other varieties, often called minor varieties, have weaker or more distorted doubling and are harder to see without close inspection. When it comes to market value, the Minnesota quarter's error varieties have created an incredible range. Common, lighter varieties in circulated condition might sell for $20 to $50, which is already impressive for a modern coin. But the stronger varieties, especially those designated as FS 801, the most popular major double die, can bring in serious cash. High-grade mint state examples of these coins regularly sell for $250 to $600, with some graded MS 67 and above pushing well past the $1,000 mark at auction. One particularly stunning Minnesota major extra tree quarter in MS-67 recently hammered down for over $2,000, setting a new benchmark for how valuable these errors can be when condition and rarity align. Condition, once again, is absolutely everything. A Minnesota extra tree quarter found in your pocket change will still have value, no doubt about it. But finding one in true mint condition, sharp detail, bright luster, no scratches, can multiply that value many times over. Grading services take a very fine-toothed comb to these coins. They look not only for the standard factors like surface preservation but also the clarity of the error itself. A double die that is faint or hard to notice won't command the same premium as one that's sharp and unmistakable. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Because there are so many known varieties of doubling for the Minnesota quarter, some collectors have turned finding them into a personal mission. Hunting down and cataloging different varieties can be just as thrilling as owning them. Some serious collectors even specialize in Minnesota error quarters, trying to build sets that include every known double die variation. It's a niche pursuit, but one that's grown steadily in popularity over the years because of the challenge and the sheer beauty of the mistakes. An important note, though, because so many people are searching for these errors, there's been a rise in confusion and misidentification. Not every odd-looking tree or weird mark is a true double die. Damage from circulation, dirty dies, or even just bad strikes can sometimes mimic the look of a double. True double dies show a very specific type of doubling, extra design elements, not just blurriness or smearing. You'll often see clear, repeated outlines of branches or treetops, not just shadows or smudges. That's why magnification and experience, or even better, a second opinion from a trusted grader, can be incredibly helpful if you think you've spotted one. Another fascinating piece of trivia about the Minnesota quarter involves its sheer mintage numbers. Over 488 million Minnesota quarters were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's a colossal amount of coins. Yet, despite that massive number, the true double die errors make up only a tiny fraction of the total. We're talking about odds so small that finding one in the wild is still a major event for a collector. It's a reminder that rarity isn't just about how many coins were made, it's about how many coins with a particular feature survived unnoticed. Adding to the fun, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced Minnesota quarters, and errors have been found from both locations. However, the majority of known strong double die examples come from the Philadelphia mint coins, marked by a small P under, "In God We Trust." Knowing the mint mark can help narrow your search a bit when you're combing through old collections or coin jars. One last layer to the Minnesota quarter story is its appeal across collecting levels. Hardcore error specialists love it because of the complexity. Trying to catalog all the different varieties feels like solving a massive, ongoing puzzle. Meanwhile, casual collectors enjoy it because it's accessible. After all, it's a modern quarter that can still sometimes be found in circulation if you're lucky. That combination of depth and approachability makes the Minnesota quarter one of the most fun and rewarding coins from the entire state quarter program. Of course, as with the Oregon quarter, authentication is key. If you believe you found a strong double die Minnesota quarter, submitting it to a third-party grading service for verification is an essential next step. Not only does it protect your investment if you choose to sell, but it also provides peace of mind knowing you have a genuine error. So the next time you glance at a simple Minnesota quarter, maybe while fishing for change at the grocery store or sorting through an old coin collection, slow down and take a closer look. What might appear to be just another lakeside scene could actually be a hidden forest of profit, waiting quietly among the pines.